Halt! Before I let you listen to this podcast, I need to let you know that we have merchandise available right now at www.killjamesbond.com/store. We are currently taking pre-orders for the Roger Moore shirt, commemorating the Sesh Gremlin Q-Bit. This t-shirt was designed by Arcana Goat on Twitter, and it is fantastic. Pre-orders close on the 31st of October, so get there ASAP. Additionally, we have 77 pairs of the Kronstein Rosette and Goodnight Cross enamel pins, designed by @NoahPasaran on Twitter. Ready to go. They are in my house right now. This isn't a pre-order. You order them and I will send you them as soon as possible. Unless you order the more pre-order and the pins at the same time, because you're only paying for shipping once, so we'll just hold on to it until we can send them both together. Also, Patreon supporters will find a discount code if you scroll down your Patreon feed for a little bit. Thank you. Go and buy my stuff.
My wife.
Hello and welcome to Kill James Bond. I am Alice Caldwell-Calley. Joining me are Abigail Thorne and Devon.
Oi, oi.
Hello.
We are watching Tomorrow Never Dies.
My wife.
He says it so many times.
He says it so many times.
My wife.
Never have we had a villain that is such a heavy wife guy and also does kill his wife during the course of the movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll get to
we had a
this.
married villain before?
Yeah, wow, that's a
No.
great question. I don't think we have. Because Sanchez, that was his girlfriend, not...
Yeah.
So...
Goldfinger
Drax
was
wasn't
single?
married,
Drax
Goldfinger was
wasn't married.
single, Scaramanga only had a girlfriend.
He was a confirmed Draxula.
Shut the fuck up.
Can I get that isolated? Thank you. No, God.
This is the first villain we've had who's joined in holy matrimony.
That's right,
And that goes well, as far as I'm aware.
Absolutely. It's Tomorrow Never Dies, the second Brosnan Bond movie, the difficult second album from GoldenEye, a movie which we liked and enjoyed, even while recognizing all of the ways in which it was terrible. And so this is the movie about what if the press was bad?
What? No.
What if that? But we begin in medias res in a terrorist arms fair on the Russian border.
Yeah.
Which is a bunch of like suspicious looking guys standing around some weapons. But the phrase terrorist arms fair just sent me off on a sort of like 10-minute spiral of like terrorist
It's
careers
so
fair.
Nice. Like, how do they advertise that? Does it say terrorist arms fair on the posters?
Yeah. Well, it's at an airstrip, so you
get
presumably
one free
you
drink.
fly in.
I mean, I applied for terrorism, but then I didn't get in. I had to go with my backup and do a master's in English at Durham.
You hate to see
Yeah,
it.
of course, once you got to Durham, there was the terrorist freshers fair.
I have a master's in English at Durham.
We'll get there. So at this terrorist arms bazaar, we know Bond is there, of course. We also see a guy who I cannot stress enough is a white guy called Henry Gupta, because they changed that character in the script from being an Indian guy to being a white guy, but they did not change the name.
And you know what? Good, because they would not have treated that guy well if he had been cast as intended.
Absolutely not.
This
Absolutely
Slavoj Žižek looking motherfucker.
He does look
truly.
a bit like Slavoj Žižek, yeah. He is purchasing some ideology, and what he's purchasing is
He's
essentially
introduced with some heavy ideology, because the line that they say about him is that he was big involved in student politics at Berkeley in the 50s, 60s.
Yep.
And
then
now
he
sells his ideology for money, or whatever.
Yes,
the line
he
was.
sells his politics for cash.
These goddamn students protesting academics, cutting down on freedom of speech. It's terrible.
I mean, we don't actually know what he was doing in Berkeley in the 60s. He could have been in the Symbionese Liberation Army for all we know. But like, yeah, it
He
has
was protesting
fucking...
turfs. That's what he was doing.
Yeah,
He was,
exactly. So we see M in the control room with a sort of like very jowly admiral.
Truly.
I love this
Jeffrey
guy.
Palmer is just
Jeffrey
here
Palmer is like
chewing the fucking scenery.
I think we should go to war.
He's
Sort of
literally
like
just like, we should bomb them now.
abstractly rattling a saber. And so, due to his sort of hot-headedness, they're like they fire a missile from a Royal Navy frigate into Russia to the Russian border, which trying to puzzle out the geography of that. Which is
Kind
going
of like that scene in No Time to Die. No, we'll get there.
Yeah.
No one knows what missiles do
No.
at this point in history. So the footage that they show of the missiles is hideous. So it's these two fucking missiles just going, and like they're about 2 meters off the terrain at all times, and they're just going up and down, tracking it very closely. My understanding is that that's not how a missile operates.
Well, like,
it just goes into the sky.
Also, this movie very much into... This is the most sucking off the Royal Navy Bond film.
Oh, fully.
And this movie loves the Navy loves it back. And so there's a lot of... Like, we see this entire process from the Admiral picking up the red phone in the command center to a guy literally turning a big switch from peace to war, which is just...
Genuinely so
an
good.
incredible ideological moment. And like all of the sort of procedures for launching this missile, just in order to, like, essentially it's James Bond faces the camera and goes, "Hey kids, wouldn't it be cool if you joined the Royal Navy?"
Wow.
They have these cool missiles and you get to like say very cool things. So yeah, they fire the missiles, and at this point they realize too late that one of the things on display at the terrorist arms fair is a set of Russian nuclear torpedoes, and that if the missile hits these, it's gonna like explode, and it's gonna create a nuclear explosion, right? So it's too late to call this missile back, and Bond, whose codename by the way is White Knight.
Yeah, they do keep saying White Knight, and I liked that a lot. It was very fun.
Yeah, White Knight does some action stuff. He shoots some men, he punches a couple of men, and then he steals the fighter jet that these nuclear torpedoes are attached to.
Because he can fly a jet now.
Because he can fly a jet, and
he does some things with his
he
jet
does,
as well.
Some
He does Bond shit.
things happen. He
Cool
does some
leather
Bond
jacket he's
shit.
got on.
It is a nice leather jacket, but it's not as nice as Xenia's from GoldenEye.
No, it's not. No.
And yeah, at this point he like escapes, and then the guy in the back seat of the jet fighter tries to strangle him with something, because he was just there the whole time. He had been punched unconscious by Bond earlier, and he wakes up in the back of this plane and is just like instantly, okay, I gotta kill James Bond.
Yeah, I gotta kill this guy.
I appreciate that fucking effort. Immediate Kronstein Rosette contender. But
yes.
Back seat of a fucking jet, and you're like, I'm gonna kill the guy who's driving this, I reckon.
Yep, gonna do that. Bond, for some reason, this plane has an ejector seat an ejector lever for the ejector seat in the back with a switch in the front.
Yeah.
So Bond ejects the guy out of the back while this guy has a ligature around Bond's neck.
I know. I'm like, this guy's. You're dead. You have just executed a complete hanging maneuver on yourself.
Yes. Yeah, James Bond has accidentally Albert Pierpointed
the world's
himself.
first like reverse hanging. You fired something up rather than dropped someone down. It's quite mechanically clever what you've done, Bond. But he fires him into the jet, the other enemy jet, which is now above them, and that takes out that as well. And then he's like, "Oh, tell the Admiral where he'd like to have his missiles delivered." And they're like, "Why are you singing that music down the thing?"
Yeah. It does pop up in his head. He sees the spinning
movie.
007.
Yeah, exactly. There's not really that much Bond about this, other than like I guess the idea that MI6 and M are sort of like more cautious and thoughtful than the Navy are, which is, again, sort of baby's first themes.
Mhm.
But then we get into the opening titles of this movie, which I can only describe as...
I find a computer indispensable.
Yeah, there's a lot of computers happening.
Yo, you ever heard of screens?
The thing
These things
is,
are crazy.
I fucking hate the intros to all of the Bond films. I hate that they're still going. I don't like them at all. And all of the modern ones have taken the single worst part of the older ones, which is a lot of very, very oblique references to themes that simply aren't present in the rest of the movie. And none of them have maintained the one good part, which is full nipple at all times.
Yeah,
there's
exactly.
so many just raw titties in all of the fucking Connery ones. And
But also,
the cowards refuse. Sorry.
these naked women here are made of computers.
Yeah, they are.
Because again, themes. There are themes in these movies, and one of these themes is technology, is computers. And sometimes a computer is a sexy lady, and sometimes it's a gun.
I don't think this film really has that very, very many artistic themes. It's got motifs, but I don't think it's like really trying to say anything the way that GoldenEye was. I didn't pick up on it if it is.
Yeah. Well, anyway,
it's a mid-song as well.
Yeah, Sheryl Crow. I mean, GoldenEye was always going to be a tough act to follow, but
you also get this weird thing, to talk about the music for a second. You also get this weird thing where the composer had nothing to do with the theme song that appeared during the credits. So, like, earlier films, they would try to work in, like, leitmotifs or references from the song throughout the rest of it. And the way this guy got around it is that he just composed another possible intro song, and they just put it during the end credits.
Right.
They have leitmotifs from that the entire way through instead.
That's why
none of the music matches up. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
It's very strange.
Okay. Well, we go from this to the South China Sea, and you know what's cool?
The Royal Navy.
It's the Royal Navy,
and
the being in the Royal Navy, you get to wear like shoulder boards to work. You get to have a lot of like officers with upper class accents telling you what to do. You get to like flip a lot of switches on a big sonar panel. Fantastic.
That does sound good.
And so
we are great.
It's just like being a podcaster, but with waves.
Exactly. Different kind of waves. We're on the frigate HMS Devonshire in the South China Sea. When it immediately gets owned, because this is a great way to show that the Royal Navy is cool, is to show them getting owned instantly,
repeatedly.
Yes,
just non-stop throughout the movie. It's quite rude.
Using a stealth ship, this sort of like quite sleek, sort of like angular vessel that is shadowing HMS Devonshire. Its crew launch a big drill into the water.
Yes.
At just the time that they are misdirecting the Devonshire to believe that it's in international waters, but actually it's in Chinese waters. So the Chinese Air Force come and try and intercept the Devonshire.
Do you have a drop of the guy saying, "We're in international waters"?
Oh, fuck, I forgot the drop of the guy saying we're in international waters.
That might become useful.
We see that they've been misdirected by Gupta from the opening scene, and also our villain for the film, Elliot Carver, who's still in shadow. One of the things that we saw at the terrorist arms fair was a CIA satellite encoder. Yeah,
the Lecter decoding machine.
Yeah, it does things with satellites. We're not really sure, but they're using this to deflect the Devonshire into Chinese waters. And the guys on the Devonshire are like, well, we're definitely in international waters. The Chinese have got it wrong. Also, something I want to flag up is there's two actors with bit parts in this opening scene.
Julian Rhind-Tutt, baby,
he's back. He's back. Mac from Green Wing. It's the second time we've seen him on the podcast. It's always good to see him. Also, he's wearing a little name tag, a Royal Navy name tag, and his name tag says J Tut. So this is him playing himself.
Really, Julian Rhind-Tutt.
Julian Rhind-Tutt was in the Royal Navy as a sonar operator and was killed in action in the South China Sea.
Stamper.
Do you know who else is in this scene and has one line?
Gerard Butler.
Gerard Butler, baby.
Gerard Butler is the one Scottish man in this scene who like will turn around later and be like, "Well, sankin, Captain."
Yeah.
Which is great, fantastic.
Jesus, you guys really watch these movies a lot more closely than I do. You're recognizing actors.
Hey, I like to see it when an actor works their way up from a small
There
part
is
to
a
big
little
part.
bit of ideology here, right? In that, in a time when we're constantly doing freedom of navigation sailings, right? We're sailing through the Royal Navy through like the fucking Strait of Hormuz or the Strait of Taiwan. And we often get these things wrong and either deliberately or accidentally end up not in international waters, but in, say, Iran or China's territorial waters. It's very interesting to have a movie that goes, oh yeah, this happens, but when it does, it's because of naughty ghosts.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally because of an evil satellite. The satellite looks evil. That hones in on another satellite and makes it go wrong.
The boat looks evil as well. The boat looks fine. It's nice. It's no Wet Blofeld's fucking Legion of Doom base.
Yeah.
I forgot about Wet Blofeld.
I fully forgot his name, and I said
Underwater Fire Blofeld.
Yeah, Wet Blofeld and his base.
Stromberg.
There it is, Carl Stromberg.
I'm sorry, Wet Blofeld is just
Wet Blofeld's better, yeah.
Wet Blofeld, Space Blofeld. They just went through a lot of Blofelds in the early Moore era.
So TV Blofeld is coordinating this one, and
TV Zone Blofeld.
So as the Chinese Air Force intercepting this Royal Navy ship, they drop a drill into the water, a remotely controlled drill, in order to make it seem like the Chinese Air Force has torpedoed this ship.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about this drill that I love the most, other than everything, is how just fully and completely impossible it is. Right? They shoot it out of this torpedo tube. It hits the boat and still maintains enough momentum to drill through the boat and then start drilling up into the rest of the boat.
Yes.
This weapon is obviously impossible, but it does stand apart from later movies' impossible weapons by being cool as fuck.
It's also we see it being controlled by our chief henchman for this movie, Herr Stamper.
Yeah.
Stamper. I love this guy.
Stamper. Big. He's big, he's blonde, he's German. That is all you need to know about Herr Stamper.
He is Red Grant number 5.
Yeah. The original script for this movie had it so that he had suffered a brain injury that made him register pain as pleasure and pleasure as pain. And then they decided,
sick.
That's too stupid. We're not going to do that. He's just going to be a big guy. And luckily, we never heard of that idea ever again.
Never comes back.
Anyway. Never comes back. So this sinks the Devonshire just in time for it to like get off a transmission, blaming its own sinking on the Chinese falsely. And then we see our main guy.
They transmit the position that they believe they are in when they sank.
Yes.
So that they never find the thing. And then
they are 70 miles away from where they think they are.
And then TV Blofeld has this like ridiculous, like where he's like meeting his staff and he's just being so comically evil.
I have so much fun. This is the way he enters the room for the first time. He enters essentially a Zoom call saying,
"Good morning, my golden retrievers. What kind of havoc shall the Carver Media Group create in the world today?"
Which is such a fucking alpha way to start any conversation.
Right.
Good morning. All of you are dogs. What evil should we do? Now,
What's
I mean,
dogs?
genuinely, I will point out that the name of this scene in the scene list that I use to follow these things is Carver receives updates from his diabolical team, which is just great.
This.
Yeah, so he's like smearing politicians. He's releasing bad software. He owns.
Yes, there's a shitty Microsoft joke.
Yeah.
Are we ready to release our new software?
Yes, sir. As requested, full of bugs, which means people will be forced to upgrade for years.
There you go.
Fucking 1999, man. You could get cheap heat off of a Bill Gates joke like that.
So he owns his name is Elliot Carver. He's played by famous British actor Jonathan Pryce, and he owns the Carver Media Group, which is basically like News Corp, Rupert Murdoch shit. Like he owns this media conglomerate that's about to launch their new channel. They're about to launch GB News. They're gonna have Woke Watch, and it's gonna be big. They're gonna get Paul Joseph Watson on, and it's gonna be the biggest thing ever. And he's doing evil shit, and he's behind this.
He's always carrying around this wireless keyboard that he types on very fast, so that you know that he's technology.
Oh, and we also see that that he tells Herr Stamper to shoot the survivors of the Devonshire using Chinese ammunition.
And film it, yes.
And film it, because he's going to report it, so he can be the first one to report it.
Yeah, he's orchestrating this whole crisis. Also, I will point out there is one line in this movie. The context isn't important, but a guy does say to Elliot Carver,
"Consider him slimed."
Great, fantastic, perfect scene.
Consider
Also,
him slime.
one other thing to note about Elliot Carver: he loves saying the word "delicious." Whenever anything kind of goes his way, he will just fully say "delicious." Just nice. Yeah,
Cool.
Jonathan Pryce is having a fantastic time.
He's having
playing
so
this
much
kind
fun.
of sort of breathlessly like megalomaniacal. It's great.
Yeah, he's having so much. He carries this film.
Fully. He's just so unapologetically completely evil throughout the entire thing. Like, he doesn't even try to not be.
At one point, he's wearing a black turtleneck and a black Mao jacket at the same time.
You know, it is actually an interesting acting choice because the lines as they are written would lend themselves very well to someone like very slowly intoning, "Now what havoc shall we?" So it was a really interesting choice for him to
Blofeld.
Yeah, it's a very interesting choice for him to play Elliot Carver as always like pretty happy and like having a great time. Just being an evil bitch.
So obviously at this point, 20 minutes into the Bond movie, you may start to wonder, where is James Bond? And where James Bond is of course pumping. He is in Cambridge. He is having sex with a Danish professor who is teaching him Danish by the means of having sex with him.
Yeah.
Now, there are a couple of things going on here, but the one that I want to draw out here is something which I first noticed in this scene, but will come up in every subsequent Pierce Brosnan sex scene, which is...
Oh, I know exactly what you're going to say, and I'm
we see explicit sex scenes for the first time with Brosnan, and so they have to work out, how are you going to act this? And Pierce Brosnan has decided at some point, okay, well, I'm going to have a move, and his move is he bites a woman's shoulder. And once you notice that he starts doing this, you will never be able to not notice it. He always does this.
It's like Connery Bond only having heavy attack and light attack. This man has one sexual move, and it's to bite a woman's shoulder like that's a normal thing to do.
Whoa. Do you not do that?
I don't only do that.
This last episode.
I don't only bite a woman's shoulder.
It's not your first and only move, right?
He breaks away from kissing her, bites her shoulder once, and then goes back to kissing her, which is a fucking weird set of actions.
Just to change things up a little for a second. I don't know. Yeah, so
seems normal to me. I think you guys at this are
point,
weird.
Moneypenny rings him up and is like, "Yo, you like eating pussy?"
I want to say something in support of Moneypenny. I quite like her a lot. I really like Samantha Bond. A great actress.
Fantastic,
wonderful. Funny name to be in a Bond film, lol, Samantha Bond. But also just very, very nice. She really does come across as quite legitimate. It's a shame about the Barry Manilow collection line from the last one. And it's a shame about the cunning linguist line from this one.
You always were a cunning linguist, James.
I think they use that joke again. Oh God.
And then it's more of a shame about the next line.
Oh
where
yeah.
M walks over to hear this last exchange. And
But then, as you say, Moneypenny overhears from the command center. M overhears from the command center. Moneypenny going like, "Oh, you sure do like to eat pussy, James Bond?" Walks over and says,
Moneypenny goes, "Don't ask," and M replies, "Don't tell," which was, in case you're unaware, "Don't ask, don't tell" was a Clinton directive from February of 1994 about being gay in the U.S. Armed Forces.
Is
which made
eating
it
pussy gay?
illegal to ask sort of potential soldiers whether or not they were gay, but it also made it illegal to be openly gay in the military.
I think it's very funny if you take that line entirely as read, which is M hearing Moneypenny make a joke about Bond eating pussy and going, yo, is Bond gay?
Is this guy be eating pussy?
Fellas, is it gay to eat pussy?
I mean, maybe she doesn't know that Moneypenny is talking to Bond and is therefore suggesting that Moneypenny is gay for talking no, because she says James. She says you always were a cunning linguist, James. So no, she's calling Bond gay for eating pussy. Fantastic move.
I would like to read this one line from the Don't Ask, Don't Tell Wikipedia page, which is very funny to me. Not funny, but also just bad. The policy prohibited people who, quote, demonstrate a propensity or intent to engage in homosexual acts from serving in the armed forces because their presence would create an unacceptable risk to the high standards of morale, good order, and discipline that are the essence of military capability.
Fuck
If
off.
they reckon you're going to be too gay,
I'm so gay. I'm actually a threat to military.
I guess when that was rescinded, by the way.
Propensity to... Oh, God.
Propensity
fuck
or
off.
intent. Hey, no. Guess when that was rescinded from being...
I know when that was rescinded, so I'm not going to guess.
I know you know.
Obama?
talking
It's like
to-
20...
It was 2011. I'm talking generally to the audience, especially young ones who may not be aware of that.
Fucking hell.
Audience.
2011.
Yes, anyway,
apparently we do.
about this James Bond movie we're watching.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want to talk about this movie.
Admiral Giles
You want
wants
to
to
talk
start a
about this
war.
movie? Yes, he swallows it hook, line, and sinker. And when he finds out from Tomorrow, Elliot Carver's newspaper, about the sailors being machine gunned, he is like, right, we are sending in the fleet. M, you have 48 hours to investigate.
Mm-hmm.
We then cut to Bond and M in her car being like escorted through traffic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she mentions that Carver's wife,
My wife.
used to
Carver's
date
wife.
Bond.
Yeah.
My wife.
They were she was an old flame before she was married. And so she tells him, use that. Like, I'll give you the whole drop, right?
Use your relationship with Mrs. Carver if necessary.
I doubt if she'll remember me.
Remind her. Then pump her for information.
Yeah, and then could I also get the drop from the previous...
Oh, I have that set up. One movie apart.
Because I think you're a sexist, misogynist dinosaur. Pump her for information.
What a fucking turnaround.
It's cool. It's so cool,
It's
isn't it?
almost enough to make you disbelieve the sincerity of the original line.
Perfect repudiation.
So the
Wonderful.
vibe is Elliot Carver's newspaper reported on the killing of the British sailors by the Chinese government, and they said, "Oh, our source is the Vietnamese government." But it was like a really quick turnaround. Like Carver reported on this a few hours before the Vietnamese even found them. So it's like, we think Carver may have had something to do with this. We think he might have sent the signal that we tracked that sent the boat off course. So go to Carver's base in Hamburg, pump his wife, and then just find out what the deal is.
My wife.
And go and see Q
M
first.
sits him down and is like, all right, Shagger, you're going to have to call up your ex and start pumping her. Also, Moneypenny hands him his travel documents and stuff, and she makes another little joke that's like, I guess you'll have to decide how much pumping is required.
Yeah.
Which, again, this is the same Moneypenny who is like, you probably shouldn't sexually harass me in the last movie.
Again, another perfect turnaround. One movie.
Yeah, she has a fucking little travel desk in the front of the car, which is very funny.
There's there's an interesting line where the PM, M says, the PM would have my head if he found out you were investigating Elliot Carver, because we get this impression that like Carver's news media empire can like topple governments. That is the phrase that Bond uses. Because when they go, Bond, what do you know about Elliot Carver? TV Blofeld, he owns
Used to shag
newspapers.
his wife.
Has a real bee in his bonnet about trans people. Like,
None of us even know what they are yet, but this guy
haven't
hates
been
them.
invented yet by the CIA.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So MI6 are, sort of subverting democratic oversight, but what else is new?
The name of you're going to yell at me over pulling you off here, but
yeah, I know.
Well, that's a damn shame, but I used that phrasing. Oh well, tomorrow never dies. I just flashed like a fucking the end of my life there.
Like exposed your glowing weak point. Yeah.
Jesus. Anyway, I'm sorry about pulling you off.
Yeah,
Tomorrow
no
Never Dies. The name, it was supposed to be Tomorrow Never Lies because the newspaper is called Tomorrow.
That's
However,
fucking stupid.
And
That's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
better. No, this is even dumber, which is that someone misspelled it at some point and they were like, oh, great. What's that? Which the essential point, which is every single one of the fucking Brosnan movies are the same name.
Yes,
they're all named the same.
Tomorrow
shit.
Never Lives, Another Die Today.
It's ridiculous. Tomorrow Never Lies would have at least been slightly different.
Well, anyway, Bond goes to Hamburg, right?
I can't believe it's so poor.
And he picks up his rental car from a desperately old.
Q is literally looking like a tortoise in this scene. It's
desperately
My
old.
man old.
Desmond Llewellyn. My man is senescing.
I mean, Desmond Llewellyn was fully grey in his first appearance in fucking From
This
Russia
is elder
with
abuse
Love.
at this point.
Yeah,
They get around the cue cards problem though by giving him a clipboard and putting the script on that.
Yeah, fully.
It's
So
way more
good.
elegant. But like he's undercover as Bond's like car rental agent, and he shows him the car. And let me tell you, this is not a good car. It's not
Shit.
a sexy car.
BMW
It's,
750, shit car.
It's like I get so much of the style of this movie is so dated. It's actually more dated than GoldenEye, which is older, because it's so sort of like middle manager vibe. Even stuff like Bond's ties are just like not good.
Yeah, because so we've said before that the James Bond films are about like marketing things towards your dad. And I think
Yes.
the filmmakers at this point have decided that your dad is a fucking loser who sucks.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
that's how they're going to
absolutely.
market to him.
And
Absolutely.
the absolute miss on my father. Hi, I know you listen to this.
What is also
No, he's
funny
cool.
about this scene is that Bond tries to like joke around with Q, but like all of his jokes are terrible, and he's the only one laughing at them, and so the effect is a bit partridge.
Yeah.
It's genuinely a little bit.
I just found
It's a little
Desmond
bit Alan
Llewellyn was
Partridge.
83 during this
that-
movie.
That has to violate some kind of labor law, doesn't it? Give the guy like a tartan blanket and a big fucking, like.
This is his
warm
penultimate
drink or
one.
something.
This is penultimate one.
Yeah. So the car it has a bunch of like the usual weapons and shit in there, but also it has a female voice that tells him what to do and nags him, which is subject to some innuendo.
Better
And
believe they make
also,
some jokes out of that.
you can drive it remotely from your phone. And Bond is like, oh, well, let's see how well she responds to my touch. Like an absolute fucking nonce.
It's just weird.
It's weird. It's Bond fingers the BMW. He fucks the car. He has sex with the car. He demonstrates that he can drive it remotely. And then
He goes to Elliot Carver's party.
Yeah, which is, I genuinely wrote down, is this supposed to be cool? Is this what 1999 thought that cool looked like? Because it's
it's bad.
bad. It's
so
weirdly tacky. There's sort of giant screens everywhere, but they're the sort of like pre-LCD, like flat screens. The waiters are wearing newsprint tuxedos.
Yeah. We're in this
Yeah.
like really weird era where like we are kind of groping our way towards a new aesthetic, but also the Matrix hasn't come out yet, and like really kind of like codified what that aesthetic's going
Brosnan's
to
mostly
be.
doing the groping part of the groping.
Yeah. So it's kind of anything goes fashion-wise. We're kind of awaiting the next fashion moment and throwing
kind
shit
of
at the wall in the meantime.
It looks a bit like the rich people in Brazil.
Yeah.
So
It's very
Bond's-
90s, this movie. It's the 1990s.
Yeah. So Bond walks up to Elliot Carver and introduces himself with his full real name, Bond, James Bond. And then
So
immediately
funny when he uses his real name. So funny.
He's supposed to be a banker, right? But like, unlike Roger Moore, who was James Stock or whatever, they couldn't even give him like a fun name. It's just like he walks up to him, goes, "My name is James Bond. I am an agent for the Secret Intelligence Service. I know you have sunk this ship and lied about its position."
Yeah, he blatantly accuses Carver with some like really shit puns, and Carver's like, "What?"
Just straight to his face in the middle of this party.
First thing he does is go up and accuse him, and Carver's like,
what?
No.
Master spy.
And then he immediately goes and talks to Carver's wife.
I mean, we're not hamming it up here. He immediately says, did you send that ship off course? Like, could you do that? Like, do you have the power to send a satellite off course? It's like...
Just being very subtle. Also, Michelle Yeoh shows up.
Yeah, Michelle Yeoh's in this.
As Wei Lin from the New China News Agency.
As a slightly more competent spy.
Yeah, she actually bothers to lie. Not about her name, but she does bother to lie about why she's there. So, obviously, Bond now has to sort of fulfill his prime directive.
Pump her for information.
So he goes and talks to Paris Carver, who is
my wife.
Terry Hatcher.
Oh, Paris Carver. Poor dear.
Yeah, she's wearing this sort of like quite intense dress. It's not Famke Janssen level, but it's quite nice.
Mm-hmm. There's a big clock over her head counting down to when she's going to be killed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad.
She immediately slaps him.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was funny.
I genuinely think, right, the idea of like one of Bond's old flames.
We're all falling apart here.
Yeah, one of Bond's on flames. It could be an interesting thing, like the idea that he just kind of like disposes of women, but nothing like happens to them unless he gets them killed. They just kind of go on with their lives. It's like that could be quite interesting. Not in this movie though, because like
Brosnan plays it as like she wasn't just another conquest. Like he plays it as if like he might have had some feelings for this woman. Like when he first sees her, he says, "I often wondered how I'd feel when I saw you again." And it's like, oh, it's interesting to hear you talk about your feelings as if you have them.
Yeah, we have an interesting bit about this later. But so
the other thing about Terry Hatcher, the actress, is she said that she accepted the role in this movie to fulfill her then husband's lifelong dream of being married to a Bond girl.
Oh, that's fun.
They
I don't like that at
scenes
all.
Really quickly because she had an unexpected pregnancy, and she later expressed that she didn't really like the part, saying it was an artificial kind of character to be playing, and you don't get any sort of special satisfaction from it.
I mean, playing it as literally a male fantasy is just great, fantastic.
Oh, it's horrible. She's treated so badly in this fucking film.
Yeah, so she kind of brushes him off. She tells him like, I married Elliot Carver instead
because he said he loved me.
Oh, the line is really good.
You're not in my life anymore. I've made my bed and you don't sleep in it, which is a good line.
Yeah, I've made my bed and you don't sleep anymore is such a good line.
So at this point, we then see like, so Carver tracks down, and he takes Wei Lin with him. And
do you have
at this point,
set up separately, or have you made another button?
No, it's a button. They rotate.
You've got a button.
I just go.
My wife.
I was like, I 100% know she's made a button for this.
Oh, I mean, I could change it to random if you want. I could do like
my wife.
Yeah, actually, that is good because then I don't know which one to expect.
Yeah,
next.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay. My wife.
Jarring shift in tone because when Paris Carver is introduced to Wei Lin, she makes what I basically understood to be a rape joke.
Yes, fully.
Like, I have the drop here with the whole line.
I'm thinking of getting Wei Lin behind a news desk.
That's wonderful. I'm sure she won't resist too much.
Yeah, that's a weird one.
And the response to this is like 2 seconds of Bond drinking his drink, like, don't know about that one, Chief. Which is fucking weird considering Bond is both the viewpoint character and also a canonical rapist. But I do kind of get the idea of like, that's a fucking weird thing to say. Like, I didn't even, it took me a second to puzzle that one out. Like, oh, you meant get her behind a news desk like you were having sex with her.
It's bad.
On the new,
I mean, if it was set up or there was any kind of payoff that Elliot Carver like behaves inappropriately towards his female staff members,
really
maybe that would explain it. But he doesn't.
He doesn't.
No, it's just strange. So
he's kind of sexless, actually.
And then Bond again goes, "Did you sink that ship, King?"
Yeah. Incidentally, I am a British spy. How's
Yo,
it
you
going,
haven't committed any
Chief?
crimes?
Yeah, speak
Could you
into my
say
lapel, please.
Clearly into my lapel if you've ever committed a crime. Fucking stupid.
Just great.
And Carver has a
films.
great response, which is to have Bond taken out and beaten up.
Yeah, what
It's
he
really
does
good.
is he leaves and then goes to Herr Stamper and goes, yeah, just have him taken out and beaten, please.
Yeah.
So they
Hey,
like
Stamper,
a couple of
could you just
large
kick the shit out of
men
this guy, man. Cheers.
take Bond away under the pretense of him having a phone call and kick the shit out of him. They call Stamper while they're doing this, and Stamper says,
Make him uncomfortable.
which is a fucking hilarious line because, like, okay, fine,
Yeah,
he's
it's good.
punning, whatever, but like when you say make him uncomfortable, what I figure is
Just
like ask
stand
him
a
about
little
his
too close.
father, make too much eye contact with him, put him in a slightly too short chair.
Yeah.
Ask
Ask him about his gender.
Ask
What
him
do
what
you
he would
think
prefer
about when
his
you
pronouns to be.
Fucking hell.
Do you
I was gonna do
imagine
the
yourself
masturbate
as
one.
a British agent when you jerk off? What do you wear when you jerk off?
Dr. Stamper, GIC.
We do see Carver asks Paris about Bond, and she does cover for him. She's like, he's my ex. But she doesn't say what she knows, which is that he's a secret agent.
Yeah.
Yes. So Bond gets beaten, but of course turns the tables on the goons and beats them up.
Mm-hmm.
And he cuts the power during Elliot Carver's big launch of his channel.
Elliot is doing the most insane speech I've ever seen.
He's doing like
children's cartoon level evil speech.
Incredible.
He literally says at one point, "What do I ask in return? Total, utter, worldwide domination." But like
so good.
his thing, right, is to like kind of do Bond villain, but then a line that's like, "I deceived you." So he all of his lines are like total domination of news or of the truth.
Yeah.
It's just like, what do I crave? Power. In order to like make people closer together. Which is just
It's
like
so
it's
funny.
Stupid.
The writing is not subtle. Like my writing on Philosophy Tube of evil characters is more subtle than this. And that is saying something.
So Carver's very upset. He fires on the spot his PR lady, who has a fantastic dress, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And then Bond escapes. And then it sort of defaults back to nothing else to do Bond mode, which is, as far as I can tell, to sit in his hotel room in his shirt, drinking half a bottle of Smirnoff.
He is fucking drinking that Smirnoff.
Yeah.
He is absolutely. He has gone through like fully half of a
He's
big
so
bottle.
low in that chair. Like, there's no way that's his first shot.
He's already had at least one martini that night. Like my man is buzzed.
He's not healthy.
Then Paris, at Elliot's insistence, comes to see Bond. The vibe is that like Carver
Been
sends
sent
her
to like pump him for information. Yes.
Yeah, quite how much pumping Elliot had in mind, I'm not sure, because he does get very cross about the fact that they do have sex, and it's pretty uninspired, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, there is a kind of nice film noir moment where he sort of throws it back in her face with like, "You've made your bed," and she says, "I'm standing here in your doorway," and in his fucking shirt sleeves, PI style, he just goes, "We'll turn around and go home," which is cool. I like that.
Yeah.
But of course, he does then fuck her, and bites her shoulder. He does that again. He does it again every time.
Again, do you not?
I mean, I wouldn't make a point of it in the way that he does. Is the thing. It's weird to have it as a discrete move. And the way that he acted is always like, I'm going to engage sex move now. Oh. And it's just like not sure about
Making the perfect Minecraft eating noise while you're on the pussy.
Thank you, Devon.
I'm gonna feel really self-conscious next time I do that now.
To doing the Minecraft drinking noise. Thank you.
Wah, wah.
So Bond, who can presumably get it up after like 2/3 of a bottle of vodka.
It's quite impressive, actually.
He tries to bite her shoulder, like falls over across the room.
Earlier on, Abby said that this was quite uninspired, and I wasn't sure if you meant the sex or the story arc, but honestly,
both.
Both. Yeah,
All of it.
just the whole thing.
Terry Hatcher acting this like a woman who is acting it because her husband wanted to have sex with a Bond girl, which is to say badly. Now,
yeah, it's a shame as well, but because she's a very beautiful woman. Like,
Yeah.
it's weird that her husband needed an excuse. She's very attractive, but she tells Bond how to get into Carver's secret lab.
Yeah, there's a secret lab on the top floor of the building. Meanwhile, back in the secret lab, White Gupta, feeling like a White Gupta, and Elliot Carver immediately see through Bond's cover, and this I like a lot.
Bond's got a perfect employment record. 10 years, he's crossed every T's, dotted every I.
Which means?
Government agent.
I mean,
Yeah,
flawless,
pretty good.
unarguable.
That was good.
Right.
Yeah.
So Bond does, in fact, infiltrate this secret lab, right?
Finds a shitload of drugs and porn.
Yeah, he finds that Gupta has a safe full of heroin, cocaine, German softcore pornography, and the Lecter decoding machine.
Selling
Using drugs?
Yeah, I wrote down typical German work safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a shitload of money, a shitload of drugs.
Unlike George Lazenby, he does not stop to read the porn.
Very, very
that's
funny.
true.
God, I love
Yeah.
it.
God, he really did do that for like
It
a
was
long
very
time
funny.
too.
Yeah. So the Lecter decoder
I
is
missed
like,
a bit. I missed a bit.
Go right ahead.
Which is when they see through Bond's cover, he's like, Carver goes, okay, podcaster looking guy. Fine. Did my wife know that this guy was a spy? And he goes, okay, well, I instantly can sort that audio out. And he plays a recording of her referencing him being a spy. And this guy who throughout the whole movie is like,
My wife.
is instantly like, we gotta kill her.
We gotta kill this woman. We gotta kill my wife right
yeah,
now.
she's done. We gotta fucking
Even though
kill my
I
wife.
sent her to see him.
On the assumption that she didn't know he was a spy in order to spy on him. Anyway, we gotta kill her.
Not really sure why this guy sent her there at all. It's really not very clear.
Would have been better if he didn't. Seems like an easy fix.
Yeah, there's a kind of like contrived action sequence with this fucking lab, right? Where Bond takes the Lecter decoding machine. He tries to fight his way out. As he does, he encounters Michelle Yeoh in a leather catsuit on her way in because she is also a spy. And the two of them have to like get out separately.
They keep doing this thing in this film where they play the James Bond theme at really ordinary moments.
Yes,
like when
yes,
James
I have
Bond
this written down.
ducks under a door or like plays with his car. It goes like da da da. I'm like, this is just a man doing normal shit.
The way he gets out of the building is to jump onto a little wheeled cart thing on his stomach and like slide across the floor. And they hit you with the Bond theme for this. And I wrote down, this is the least deserved Bond theme since Connery having it while he was searching a hotel room.
That was
it's
very
fully
good.
just like, yeah, this is just playing in this guy's head all
And they
the
only
time.
did that because they didn't have enough music to film the fucking film. Also, Bond does this thing, and it's becoming more and more apparent to me in the Brosnan years, but he has this thing he does where he will fight a couple of henchmen in a location, and in killing them in the weirdest way he possibly could, given the circumstances.
Yeah.
Alarms will start going off, like things will be really, really loud, and then he will walk out of the room extremely slowly and normally, as if he has just gotten rid of all suspicion.
Beaten the stage, exactly. Yeah.
Like, alarms are blaring, and it's just like, perfect. Great work, 47. Now find an exit.
It's also like this whole glass office, right? It looks so fucking dated. You can see all the handprints on the glass and stuff. And Bond spends so much of this movie in Hamburg, like basically the first half hour. And I mean, I'm going to offend some listeners from Hamburg here, but like, frankly, it doesn't look like a very interesting or exotic city to be in.
No, sorry.
It's like, it just kind of looks like generic sort of like provincial large city. It's like, it's a bit like if in England you said it in Liverpool, you know, like it's fine. I'm sure people who are from there like it, but it's not, you wouldn't go, wow, holy shit, fucking Hamburg. Incredible.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we
I
get to the
actually
scene
got
that you
Hamburg.
two like, which I
Yes.
don't.
Oh, we get to the best scene of all time? Absolutely.
Bond goes back to his hotel. Because on his way out, Elliot Carver calls him in the car and is like, you have things that belong to me. You have my Lecter decoding machine and you have...
My wife.
and
My wife.
is in your hotel room. Fucking bring me back.
My wife.
So Bond goes back to his hotel room and he finds a videotape playing in which sort of the newscaster announces the death of
My wife.
And I'm gonna do this every time. I'm not gonna say her name. I'm not gonna do it. So, and he finds dead on the bed of a gunshot wound.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, he is fucking held up by the best guy in the world.
A man walks into this scene, presumably after having gotten lost on his way to a Connery Bond film, because he is such an old Bond character.
He looks a bit like Paul Bearer, the WWE character. He's got this sort of like really hangdog look. And so he points a gun at Bond and he goes,
"My name is Dr. Kaufman. I am an outstanding pistol marksman. Take my word for it, yeah?" 3 accents in as many sentences.
Such a me doing a German accent.
I am an outstanding pistol marksman.
As you can see, I am Dr. Stepper. Ridiculous. Incredible.
So Kaufman's deal is that he's like a professional hitman. He like travels around the world faking suicides for the most part, right? Like overdoses and stuff. And so he has killed Paris Carver.
And now he is here to kill the tone and pacing of this film.
Yes.
Oh, yeah,
and
completely.
also, incidentally, James Bond.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, just fucking great, basically. He gets this one fucking line.
So hard.
So Bond is like sitting across the room from him, and he goes, "If you shoot me from over there, it won't look like a suicide." And Kaufman hits him with,
I am a professor of forensic medicine. Believe me, Mr. Bond, I could shoot you from Stuttgart and still create the proper effect.
and this line,
still.
und this line in the movie sent me off on an hour and a half of thinking about different qualifications this man could have, and it would be funny.
He's got a doctorate in killology and killonomy.
I am a master of education. I could shoot you from Stuttgart and still create the proper effect. I'm a bachelor in philosophy.
Fuck this. I'm Dr. Kaufman from the Gender Identity Clinic.
What do you think about when you masturbate?
Make him uncomfortable.
I hate this guy. I hate this guy.
No, we're not done coming up with
tanks the film.
Hello, I'm Dr. Kaufman. I have been hired to assassinate the pacing of this movie.
I dropped out of Glasgow University Law School. I could shoot you from Stuttgart and still create the same effects. I love this guy so much. So
I have a BTEC national in hairdressing. I could shoot you from Stuttgart.
I'm an apprentice bricklayer. I could shoot.
How are you doing,
I have watched over 50 PragerU videos. I could shoot you from Stuttgart. However,
Mr. Bond.
They're trying. So while he's doing this, Carver's guys are trying to get into Bond's parked car because they think he's got the decoding thing in there correctly. The first guy to touch it gets an electric shock from the door handle.
Mention he stole the decoder thing from the lab, from the porn safe.
It is in the porn safe. So the first guy to touch it gets a shock from the door handle. The second guy to touch it gets a shock from the other door handle. And then they start hitting it with sledgehammers and stuff. And I want so badly to award the Kronstein Rosette to the guy who touches the electrified door handle for the third time and gets shocked.
So smart. God's own himbo. Perfect man. Oh
my god. And so Kaufman is like, they get Kaufman on the radio as he is about to kill Bond and try to get him to open the thing.
This is very embarrassing. It seems there is a red box in your car. They can't get to it. They want me to make you unlock the car. I feel like an idiot. I don't know what to say. I am to torture you if you don't do it.
Just perfect. He's like, at the whole time he's saying this, he's like lounging. He literally does say, do you have a doctorate in that too?
It's so, like, imagine a guy of this magnitude arriving in like fucking no time to die. Like, just a third of the way through the movie, Dr. Kaufman appears. How the fuck?
How are you supposed to recover from this? How are you supposed to go on recording your podcast about this movie? I have a degree in economics from the University of Chicago.
He's in this movie
I could
for
shoot you from Stuttgart.
2.5 minutes, and in my heart forever. I don't understand.
He steals the entire movie. Like, it's totally pointless. Like, you could honestly have cut this scene. You could have done it and just gone straight to Bond discovering the body and then escaping. But anyway, Bond tricks Kaufman into electrocuting himself with a gadget phone and then shoots him.
The thing that I love about Kaufman so much is that because he is a consummate professional, as he is dying, he sets Bond up for an easy line.
Oh, it's so easy.
He gets the gun pointed at him and he goes, "Wait, I am just a professional doing a job." And so Bond, of course, goes, "So am I," and shoots him.
Yeah,
and
it's so weird.
Going that extra mile.
The actor playing Kaufman is playing this scene for comedy, and Brosnan refuses to play this scene for comedy. So go back and find this scene on YouTube if you can, listeners, because you will see like two actors fighting over what this scene is supposed to be, and just like neither one of them giving an inch.
Brosnan is 100% being a guy who has just found an old flame murdered in his bed.
Yeah.
And Dr. Kaufman is Dr. Kaufman. And there is such unbelievable tension between the two actors as they desperately try to get their motivation across. It's perfect cinema.
Just
anyway,
incredible.
The rest of the film sucks.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah. Bond uses the remote control car to escape.
Yeah, he uses the remote control car to escape. It's like, again, it's a kind of a shit-looking car. It's a weird series of scenes. The only utility of this long-ass scene is that it has a bunch of shots of James Bond looking at a phone for the first time, which I have been using to, for instance, do the Missy Elliott hollow when you get this Microsoft Excel text on our Twitter account. So Bond escapes, and then, hey kids, you know what's cool?
The Royal Navy?
The Royal Navy is cool.
Yeah,
being in the Royal Navy is cool because Pierce Brosnan steps out of a helicopter onto a US airbase wearing a full fucking Royal Navy commander's uniform with the parachute wings and everything. Haircut is out of regulations, but who cares? It's a giant fucking recruiting ad. Great. Fantastic.
Cool.
He meets with Wade once again. Fucking Sheriff J.W. Pepper is back.
Felix Leiter's legs still haven't come in.
No.
Yeah, he's walking around with like baby legs right now. It's a problem. He needs a couple more years.
He shows the Americans the Lecter decoding machine. They're like, well, that would mean the ship was 70 miles away from where they thought it was. And Bond immediately goes, right, I got to parachute into the wreck.
Chinese territorial waters.
Vietnamese territorial waters, in fact.
I want to talk for a second about how perfect a fucking prop the goddamn Lecter decoding machine is, because it's just a red box and you open it up and there is a digital display with a random number output on it.
It's perfect.
It's perfect. It's always doing the computer's noise every time it gets looked at. Fantastic.
Find the computer indispensable.
It's so good.
So
I find the computer indispensable.
So Bond does a halo jump, right? A high altitude, low opening parachute jump into the water in order to do this. But he's being briefed on how dangerous it is, right? And Wade is with him inexplicably, and there's this line, right?
You free fall for 5 miles and use your oxygen, or you'll die of asphyxiation. Sounds like my first marriage.
Who the fuck was Wade's first wife? Xenia Onatop? What the
Diving
fuck
over
kind of
Squixie.
breath play shit were they doing?
That would be an incredible twist, actually, if Xenia was Wade's ex. And she was like really brokenhearted because he left her. That'd be so good.
You free fall for 5 miles and then use your oxygen, or you'll die of asphyxiation.
That's much like my wife.
Much like
My wife.
Like,
What?
Was he being metaphorical? Is it like I felt that I was being asphyxiated emotionally by my marriage?
Yeah, it seems like you should talk to somebody about that. Anyway, I've got to jump out of a plane and go and scuba dive. It's a good thing they went off by even like 100 meters, because swimming that with all your scuba gear on is exhausting.
Oh, we also get the perfect shot, which is after Bond parachutes, we get a shot of Bond popping back up out of the water.
Yes, and this is going to be the episode art, so don't even worry.
The problem with the episode art, right, is that it's square, right, and this is a wide shot, and the only thing in it is Pierce Brosnan like out of the water, and it's incredible. Anyway,
this was the moment I paused the movie and was just like, God, they should have sent a poet. Every frame of fucking
so Bond dives into the wreck of the Devonshire, where he encounters a bunch of corpses, a missing cruise missile, and then Wei Lin in scuba gear. And at this point, I paused and I wrote down verbatim, this is a lot like the other time I explored a sunken British warship with an attractive woman when I was the same guy. This is a lot like the last time there was an underwater theft of a British nuclear weapon when I was the same guy. This is a lot like...
the other time there was an underwater theft.
So the second time I did that underwater thing and I had a fight with a robot underwater, that was good.
Yeah, if I had $1 for every time I had, dived into a sunken British warship in pursuit of a stolen nuclear weapon, I would have $5, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it's happened that many times.
At least there's no remote control sharks this time.
That's true.
God,
there is some
so
peril, but the peril is very stupid. It's like the wreck is about to fall over or something. Whatever.
They get out and then they immediately get captured by Herr Stamper.
Herr Stamper, who,
I've written down, hey, this is a lot like that other time that I stole something and then I surfaced and the bad guy had simply taken over my boat and waited for me. Then when Kristatos did it.
Also, another guy who looked like Stamper was on that fucking boat.
Yeah.
Goddamn Kriegler or something.
Oh my God, you're right. It's just Kriegler again, isn't it?
Kriegler.
It's Kriegler again. Like, it's Red Grant number 5. It's so
Jesus Christ.
I hate these movies.
This is the same movie.
Are we in purgatory?
Ideas.
We're going to get to No Time to Die, and then we're just going to start again. It's just going to be Dr. No.
Every time we reach for James Bond, he recedes from us.
We're just going to start finding like more and more Brosnan Bond movies. We like never get to the end.
Why do I have to roll this Bond up a hill? And why does it always roll down and crush me?
Yo, that would be really funny though if we got to the end and then just started again.
I think season 2, also known as we just do it again. But we don't watch the movie. We just go off our notes.
That's the funniest possible bit, is to do all of these again, but without seeing any of them, and we just kind of until it's a photocopy of a photocopy of a photocopy.
We just Kill James Bond is an art piece. We're doing a commentary on palimpsests. It's really funny. You don't understand.
So we go to Saigon.
We go to Saigon on a helicopter. Bond
no, we
is
fucking don't.
Bond is
I'll tell you why we don't go to goddamn Saigon, because
Why don't we go to Saigon?
The Vietnamese government if they could film in Saigon, and were told fuck off. So they did it all in Thailand, and you can even see multiple Thai flags throughout.
Nice.
Perfect.
Bond is here complaining about being handcuffed to Michelle Yeoh, which could not be me. And then he makes this weird joke, right? They fly towards this giant skyscraper, which is a giant banner of Elliot Carver's face. And it's a little hard to make this out, but what he says is...
Another Carver building. If I didn't know better, I'd say he developed an edifice complex.
I'd say he developed an edifice complex.
I actually quite like that.
The thing about that, right, is that it has two qualities as a line. The first is that it's not funny, and the second is that it doesn't make sense. Yeah, and that's true of all of Bond's jokes in this movie.
Yeah, he needs better material.
I'd say he had an edifice complex because he fucked the building and then killed his father and then tore out his own eyes, like Oedipus, the classical tragedy.
A really big Greek guy made of stone. What? What are you talking about,
So
James?
he's not working at his best here.
Half of everything is luck, James. And the other half is fate. And I've got an Oedipus complex, and I'm keeping my shirt on. And do you smell toast? Anyway.
So they drag Bond and Wei Lin to Carver. Wei Lin sees a Chinese general, General Chang, on the way out, and is like, "Oh shit, he's working with Carver. That explains a lot." And so, Carver is like drafting Bond's obituary, to which
Flex.
simply use the previous one from when he was killed in Hong Kong, and he was the same guy.
Yeah,
We
that's
didn't have
already
to go
written.
that far.
Yeah,
Hong Kong and Saigon, really not that far.
No, not at all.
There's a funny moment here where Wei Lin tries to bluff him and say, our governments know what you and General Chang are up to. They try and bluff Carver, and he just goes, no, you don't.
Yeah,
he literally
like,
is just like,
I don't
you just
think
saw
you do.
General Chang in the hallway, man.
You just saw him in the hall, didn't you? Nah, you're full of shit. Fuck off.
We also hit the most tired story beat in the one they've been doing since Dr. No, which is Bond is a man out of time, right? And so Carver tries to be like, oh, you guys, you're fucking over, man. It's all words now and computers. And computers, satellites are the new artillery. A comparison which, again, does not make any fucking sense.
It doesn't, but that was the pitch that was put forward that resulted in this movie being made.
It's
words
terrible.
are the new weapons, satellites are the new artillery.
Yeah, I'm the new
sucks.
Napoleon. It sucks. So
also, we're going to put Dr. Kaufman in here. Fuck you.
Yeah, yes. And so, speaking of Dr. Kaufman, he hands them over to Herr Stamper, right? And Herr Stamper is going to do chakra torture on them. Now, chakra torture, Carver helpfully explains that the chakras in Eastern medicine are
energy centers like the heart or genitals.
And he's gonna torture those with a series of scary looking tools. So what we're essentially being told is that Herr Stamper is going to
cock and ball torture from Wikipedia,
Don't cut
the
that
free
off.
encyclopedia at en.wikipedia.org.
Yeah. And so, but there is one great line, which is fucking Stamper just has this throwaway line that he learned it from Kaufman, and then he looks straight at Bond and he's like, it was like a father to me.
Yeah, that is exactly what I was also going to bring up. It's so funny that they're like, oh, no. You think Kaufman's gone, baby? Welcome to the primary character motivation for Stamper from here on, which is
Kaufman and Stamper just cock and ball torturing a guy together.
The Kaufman scene is so out of step with the rest of the film that it's genuinely weird to hear another character acknowledge that Kaufman existed.
It's very strange.
I half
you
expected
saw him
Bond
too?
to go, wait, he was real?
I hallucinated that guy. I was going through some things.
I did have a lot of vodka the night before. I don't know what the fuck was going
Also,
on.
he was like a father to me is the funniest possible way to claim revenge on someone's behalf.
It's right. You also get a wonderful line, which is one of the most, the single most stereotypical villain line possible, where Bond calls Carver insane, and he says some shit like, genius and insanity really aren't that far apart. And I just want to say, if anyone ever calls you insane and your response is, well, a lot of people were called insane during their time, you're insane. You fucked
are
up
insane,
here.
yes.
You need to go for a different answer to that.
Also, it's not a good insult because Carver's not insane. He's just
not.
megalomaniacal. It's not the same thing.
Yes. So Bond escapes by literally kicking over a table. He and
Very
Wei Lin
funny.
are handcuffed together. They tear down the giant banner down the outside of the building and ride down it to safety.
Get on a motorbike and have a chase.
Oh, and again, the product placement getting real egregious in this movie because you know who makes motorbikes? It's it's BMW, and so they get on this it's actually quite a nice looking bike. It's like a BMW cream colored motorcycle, but they have to get in a very long car chase.
It's a very badly edited chase as well. There's a lot of disconnected footage, which suggests to me that they just didn't get the coverage.
There's a lot of things to discuss about this. First of all, I do like that they tried to do something inventive with an action scene where Bond is handcuffed to another agent. It's great, and it's done a lot better in the movie they stole it from, which is Project A2 with Jackie Chan. But it's shot really, really badly. They didn't even bother trying to cover up all the Thai street signs.
At least they didn't do any sort of comical sideshows. If this was a more Bond movie, you'd drive through and there would be a reaction shot of something quote unquote Vietnamese happening, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
At least they spare you that.
And there's also quite amusingly, in order to make this work for the actors, Waylon has a fake arm on, and in certain shots it is so long. It's so fucking long. It's just such. If you pause it, it's really good.
But they're kind of bickering with each other on the bike.
The helicopter that they trick it into driving into a wall explodes, and it's very obviously full of dummies. It's not a very good chase.
But they escape
Bond's
after a series of
shit.
sort of poorly done stunts.
Yeah.
They then
so shit the entire way through.
Bond then gets in a shower with Waylon in the streets.
Yeah, why not?
He washes her hair. But
he doesn't bite her shoulder, though.
No, he doesn't, because he makes a series of handcuff puns. She unlocks herself from the handcuffs and handcuffs him to the water pipe, which is the correct reaction to ever encountering James Bond in any circumstances, is that this is a dangerous man who needs to be physically restrained from you. But Bond just breaks out of that easily. So
it's bad.
So he follows her to sort of
her base.
You remember how in the Moore movies Q would have a base abroad, Q brackets Indian or whatever. Q himself is not necessarily involved here, but I can only really describe this setup as Q brackets Chinese.
It's really bad. She goes back to her base to find that it has been sort of infiltrated by a bunch of guys, and she has a fight with them.
General Chang's guys.
Bond is following her and beating up other agents, but it's not communicated clearly at all. So it does just sort of look like Bond is walking through Saigon, beating the shit out of random guys, because he gets the drop on every single one of them. It's really funny.
It's not established that they're connected.
He just walks up to some guys and is just
he beats up one guy who's trying to light his cigarette, and Bond mimes he's looking for a lighter, mimes that he has the lighter, and then opens his hands and punches the guy. And it's very close to fucking Dr. Hibbert punching a guy through an empty mirror.
It's really bad.
It's genuinely very weird.
Also, just as I was congratulating this film for having an Asian character who doesn't know kung fu in it, Waylon, of course, has a kung fu fight.
She fucking knows kung fu. She knows kung fu.
Of course, she has a kung fu fight.
Because that's what you're here for, is Michelle Yeoh doing kung fu. Now, at this point,
Carver's here for.
They sort of we'll get there. Agree to work together, right? And he sort of inspects the various gadgets that they have, including an updated version of his watch, which she doesn't tell him how to use. A foo dog, a lion dog that shoots fire. The new Walther P99, because arms manufacturers are also getting product placement in this movie. Fun.
Throughout this scene, while they're having this discussion, occasionally more guys will drop in to have a little bit of a fight with them, and they'll just dispatch them easily. And one of them gets up and they throw a fucking balloon at him, and he just never gets up again. And it's did that kill him?
So they agree to
it's full of
warn both Beijing and London. Bond goes, okay, you get the gear, I'll send the messages. And there's a sight gag where he goes to the computer that has come out of the floor, and it has a Chinese keyboard, which he can't read. Now, again, this is the same guy who...
Instant Japanese. You may need it.
You forget I took a first in Oriental Languages at Cambridge.
Same guy. That's the same man.
That's Oriental Languages at Cambridge.
I could shoot you from Stuttgart. I could shoot you from Shenzhou, and the effects would still be correct. Yes.
Rest in peace, Dr. Kaufman.
He was like a father
guy.
to us.
He was like
There's a really badly edited scene transition at the end of the scene where they cut to the next one and they're quite clearly cutting over Pierce Brosnan's line. Like, the editing in this film is a bit sloppy.
Yeah, they work out where the stealth ship is, which is in Ha Long Bay.
And I've written down, this reminds me a lot of the time that I came here to kill Scaramanga 30 years ago.
When I was the same guy.
Same island, like it's in the background.
Yeah.
Which they call it a subtle nod.
Scaramaga's island. Yeah.
I was like, hey.
Yeah, I went there, killed a guy with the third nipple. So, it was a weird time when I was the same guy. When I was the same man.
Yeah, when I was old.
I am now.
I tweeted this on the account one time, but I've been beset with nightmares thinking about fuckboy Scaramanga with 3 nipple piercings. I can't stop.
What? Fucking excuse me?
Just what a perfect character.
It's a little kinky.
They also there's an offline here where she says, yeah, we found someone who will take us there, but they say it's bad luck, so he's not going to do it after dark. And I just wrote, that's Quarrel again. That's exactly what Quarrel says.
Quarrel brackets Chinese, yes.
She calls him a decadent agent of a corrupt Western power, which
then his comeback is,
They say communists don't know how to have fun.
Which is a weird line on its own, but also I will be using it to react to a lot of things later on.
This podcast is proof that is not true.
Mm-hmm. We had a lot of fun with Dr. Kaufman, for instance.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well,
if you don't like him, I'm very sorry to say
Marxist
that he will...
Leninist. They could shoot you from a
promo segment I cut.
We also get to find out Carver's plan, which is that, so the British, you will recall, listeners, have sent the fleet into the South China Sea. The Chinese are also there because that's where they live. That's how they play the game. And his plan is he's going to use the cruise missile that he stole from the Devonshire. He's going to fire it at the Chinese from the stealth boat as it's hidden in the middle of the British fleet. So it's going to look like the British have attacked, start a war, and I'm going to get question mark.
It's not even question mark. His plan is much more stupid and much more involved than that. His plan is General Chang, his guy, is going to call a meeting of the Politburo in Beijing. That meeting is going to get obliterated by the cruise missile. General Chang's not going to show up. He is going to show up in time to take power in Beijing, call a truce between the two, again, nuclear powers that have just entered into a state of armed conflict, win a Nobel Peace Prize, and also sign over all of the broadcast rights in China to Carver. What's supposed to happen if he doesn't stop the war from happening? Not sure. I guess the plot of Threads comes directly out of it. I don't know.
Yeah, Carver's plan seems to rely a lot on British people being normal, which...
God, imagine the United Kingdom at war against China. There's nothing.
That's going to be a short war.
It's totally portrayed as like an equal proposition between the two. And it's like, no, I don't think so. No.
Yes, couldn't even beat Argentina.
But Bond, well, we kind of.
We did.
We didn't go all the way, though.
We didn't beat. Well, we weren't going to war against Argentina. We just wanted the islands. I'm saying we Royal. I don't want them.
No, when you were in the Royal Marines, you yomped across Mount Pleasant in order to defend the Falkland Islands.
Well, we weren't going to war against Argentina.
Anyway, Bond and Wei Lin, in this Bond movie that we're watching to record a podcast about, infiltrate the stealth boat. Wei Lin gets instantly captured by Herr Stamper, who bonks her head on a ceiling.
Yeah.
And then Bond fakes his own death.
In the worst manner I've ever seen.
He stabs a guy, holds that guy out of sight, shoots at Stamper, waits for Stamper to shoot back, and then dumps that guy's body in the water. Which prompts Stamper to not investigate further, and then this exchange happens.
Bond is dead.
Delicious.
I'm sorry?
There you go.
Bond is dead.
Price gets in quite a funny joke at Bond's expense, where he says to Wei, Bond's on his way to the bottom of the sea. He's my new anchorman, which I thought was quite funny.
That was good.
And then he gets his second joke in on Wei Lin.
Well, because this joke is so fucking bad that it causes her to try and attack him using her kung fu skills. And Jonathan Pryce then, I don't know what this was written as in the script, makes a series of kung fu gestures and these noises. Just if you wanted to, hear those again, for instance. And then he just goes pathetic. Yes. But yeah, at one point he moves like a crab would.
He does crab hands. This is some of the worst racism I've ever seen.
Yeah, he adopts the form of the crab for some reason.
It's really unusual. Kind of comes out of nowhere. Isn't referenced again.
It's such a weird you almost get the impression they didn't tell Michelle Yeoh about it because she doesn't respond with anger. She just looks confused.
Like, what?
I mean, I don't know whether that was it can't have been an ad lib because we see it from like 2 angles. They would have had to turn around. Like that would have taken half an hour's worth of filming to shoot, like at least.
How many times did he do that?
Yeah, you wouldn't stop.
How many takes?
They had to talk him out of doing that in every scene.
Yeah, it's so bizarre.
Bond goes to the party in Hamburg. Please, you've met my wife.
I mean, I already don't like the character. You don't need to also make him racist.
He's also racist.
It's always the hat on a hat with the Brosnan movies, right? And the same with Alec Trevelyan. It's like, he's not just betraying Britain. He's also a rapist.
Mm-hmm.
So also
I
with
just
this
wrote
guy,
racism at the 11th hour. Like, it's weird that it's here.
Yeah. He does the entire Man from Hong Kong bit. Like,
let's just do Man from Hong Kong
My
again.
notes say,
can we just watch Man from Hong Kong again,
racist
please?
noises, he's having fun.
He's enjoying himself.
I mean, genuinely, it's essentially like...
My business takes me to the East regularly.
Yes.
I find the Chinese make the best servants. I understand your culture and your language, Inspector. And your martial arts. Especially those.
George Lazenby. I gotta find more of those movies.
James Bond takes Gupta hostage and says, I'll trade you Gupta for Weyland. Carver's like, fuck it, I don't give a shit about Gupta. The plan's already in motion. All I have to do is hit the button. So he shoots Gupta. And Bond's like, I had a backup plan, which was a grenade in a jam jar. Boom.
Yes.
Very funny.
Activated with a watch no one told him how to use. Yes. So, but Bond and Weyland regroup, fight their way through the ship to try and stop the
Weyland has a
missile
ninja
launch.
star hidden in her boot because of course she does.
I simply wrote down here, to be an extra, being beaten up by Michelle Yeoh. Anyway, so, yeah, God, okay. Well, Bond kills Carver, but that kind of sells it a bit short. Bond offers a succession of baffling lines.
Obliterates Carver to a particle level. It's something else.
Yeah, he turns the fucking sea drill on him.
Remember the sea drill?
The sea drill. And at the same time, he goes, you forgot the first lesson of mass media, Elliot. Give the people what they want. Which doesn't have any bearing on the situation that he's currently...
It's like, you've got an edifice complex, and that's like the line of the movie that they kill him on. I don't get it.
He literally says, I've got some breaking news for you, and then he kills him.
That would have been enough.
But they have 3 lines.
And kick him into it.
So intercut with this, buddy. The jam jar grenade has blown enough of a hole in the stealth boat thing that now, having been warned, the Royal Navy, the hero of this movie, can track this stealth boat and start attempting to destroy it and start shooting at it and stuff.
Weyland gets captured again for the second time in about 10 minutes.
She loves getting captured, but like she loves it. She gets fucking chained up by Stamper. As Bond is trying to defuse the cruise missile,
and we get another fucking baffling line from Bond. Did you get this, Alice?
I don't have the drop, but yeah, she throws.
No. Stamper has Weyland chained up and says, come and fight me, Mr. Bond. I will avenge Carver and all the rest of it. And Bond says, never argue with a woman. They're always right. I'm like, what?
What? He's just saying shit now. Like, he's just like...
Draw a clock.
What?
Draw
what are you
a clock.
Talking about?
Draw a clock. So
it's like this fucking movie was written by an AI. It's genuinely, this is like one of those, I made an AI.
It really is.
Bond, and then just go,
really is.
Forgot the first rule of mass media, Carter.
It really is like we gave all the previous Bond films to a neural net and had it write this, which is just like a mashup of other things. Wayland getting captured like 2 or 3 times, getting stuck in a loop.
Stop getting captured.
Weird racism lines that don't make any fucking sense. You're right, Deb. It's
Bond
just
have a fight. Yeah, it is.
Stamper and Bond have a fight.
Stamper and Bond have a fight. Bond pins his leg with the fucking missile, and Stamper is like, well, I'm gonna die, and then just like holds Bond in a chokehold. It's like, and you know what? You're coming with me, pal.
We are going to
Fair
meet
enough.
Dr. Kaufman together in heaven, where he will torture you.
Dr. Kaufman.
Bond cuts away the vest that Stamper is holding him by, goes and dives after Wayland, rescues her. The missile is destroyed. Stamper is killed. The Royal Navy sink the stealth ship.
The bomb blows up, but the chain is still attached to something taut, whatever. Fucking who cares?
Yeah,
the movie sucks.
They kind of fuck a bit.
To the press.
No, it's more than that. It's more than that because the last line in this is M. Well, not the last line. The last line is Bond going like, "We should have sex some more." But like back in London,
it's the only last line of any of these fucking movies.
Yeah, drafts up an obituary for Carver, which is MI6's job, I guess. And it's that he is on his luxury yacht and he dies of apparent suicide. And that's a Robert Maxwell joke. That is a joke about the death of Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine's dad. British media baron died on his yacht of either suicide, misadventure, or assassination. No one knows. That's
I'm so glad you picked up on that as well, because I thought I was going insane.
That went completely over my head. I'm too young to remember that, but
it's not age. I'm just insane with the fucking.
It's genuinely like
Epstein shit.
Like putting that in a fucking fictional MI6 thing feels like being taunted by the real killer, you know? Like, Mr. Police, I gave you all the clues. We literally said in a movie, oh yeah, we just killed this guy.
Would have been really funny if M was just like, it seems that he was hit he crashed because of a white Fiat Uno.
The way you said hit there, I thought it was like, seems he was struck by
a smooth criminal.
A smooth criminal.
So that's the fucking movie.
Do you want to know something about the production of this? The first draft of this script was set during the July 1997 transfer of Hong Kong from British to Chinese rule.
Oh, great.
Carver was supposed to be like this zealot bent on destroying Hong Kong instead of handing it over. And this idea was scrapped due to friend of the show Henry Kissinger, who said, look, this will have happened by the time the movie comes out. And if something does happen during the handover, this is going to look horrid.
Henry Kissinger there taking the role of what member of the podcast who remembers the release schedule.
At what point did Henry Kissinger see the script for a James Bond film? How did that happen?
He gets approval on all of them. Yeah.
He was genuine. He was Secretary of State at the time in the Clinton administration. He was acting as a consultant on the production of the movie.
Secretary of State since the Clinton administration.
What?
I could shoot you from Stuttgart.
Yeah, no.
Why is the Secretary of State for the American government acting as a consultant for a James Bond film?
Ideology.
I feel like you could take exactly 4 seconds and figure out why. it's not great. I'll tell you that for a fact.
We accidentally discovered the deep
for the
state
same
in trying
reason
to
the
talk about this
protagonist
fun
is
movie.
fucking the British Navy in all of these.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway, you should join the Royal
all
Navy.
Three of us have red dots on us now, so let's not talk about that any further.
I don't know the guy who's dressed in camouflage.
We have a science-based system on this podcast.
Yes.
It's called the SCUM spectrum.
Do we?
Yes, we do. It stands for smart, cultural insensitivity, unprovoked violence, and misogyny. What do we think for SMARM? I think this one is pretty damn high.
This is so high.
The scene where he makes dad jokes with Q. Yeah, that's high. That's high.
I could be tempted to give it a 7.
I could see 7, yes.
Okay. Hell yeah.
It's unbearable. And it's like the fact that it's like smarmy, but also unintelligible has to be like a force multiplier.
It's so fucking funny.
I think he has an Oedipus complex. Would be a smarmy line if it made sense. The fact that it makes no fucking sense makes it even smarmier. Somehow.
It must be said as well that, like, I don't think Brosnan has quite hit his stride for, like, where the smarm comes from emotionally. I thought Connery did that really well, and Moore did it really well. And I tell you who does it, my favorite is Daniel Craig, who we'll get to. Never heard of him. But yeah, Brosnan, I don't think he's quite found where the smarm comes from yet. What do you feel about cultural insensitivity?
Now, I have one drop here that I'm going to...
I'm okay without.
My wife...
Again, it's on the part of Bond.
The existence of chakra torture? Okay, fine. On Bond's part, I don't know.
He's kill that German guy. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. He's racist against Germans. I don't fucking know, dude.
He actually doesn't have that many, especially as someone who spends half the movie in like the East. He doesn't.
And I guess the part of the point of the like kung fu noises thing is to like make us like Elliot Carver less because we're not supposed to like racism anymore.
But at the same time, I don't think it's on the part of Bond. I think it's on the part of the film. And there is some stuff like, you know, the Chinese character like knows kung fu and like has a ninja star and has all these like Chinese like dragon gadgets and shit. There is some shit in here that just seems a little bit like almost lazy.
It's like 3.
Yeah, how do you feel
that seems absurdly low for a movie that again contains the sequence of noises. But that's my vote. Is 3.
Could have been a lot worse. 3, yeah.
Okay.
Happy with that.
God, it could have been.
Unprovoked violence.
So much worse.
Well, I mean, a lot of his violence is defensive.
Is that as opposed to GoldenEye, which was adapted into a movie from a first-person shooter game, this one wasn't. So there isn't as many long segments of just shooting everyone who appears on the screen.
Mm-hmm.
There's actually not that. It's genuinely a lot less than average for a Brosnan movie, and we'll get back to the heights of unprovoked violence later on.
I don't think he actually attacks anyone unprovoked. The worst he does is like knocks a guy unconscious with an ashtray, and that guy is calling for help. So
yeah, fair enough. How do
a 1 even?
Yeah, okie dokie. And finally, misogyny.
They tried to do something, and a bit that we kind of skipped over is that when they're fucking, Paris gets him to at least admit that he kind of likes women disposable, and that like the reason why he left is because she got too close for comfort, which is good, I guess.
Yeah, it's nice to have a bit of sincerity.
They don't really flirt. There's no sort of sexual allusions with Wei Lin until the very end, which makes it weirder that they still have to end on an implied sex scene.
Yeah, that is strange, actually.
That she finally
he's like washing her hair and stuff, and she's like not really interested.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think not really interested is an understatement. She handcuffs him to a pipe.
Again, as is correct.
Mm-hmm. You should be doing that.
I think I want to give it a couple of points for the fact that Wei Lin's always captured and that it ends on a sex scene.
Yeah, and she's a colonel, by the way. She outranks Bond, and she's just getting bonked into shit. Yeah. Say 2 or 3. 3?
Yeah, I'm happy with 3.
Sure.
This is gonna be too low, is my concern for how bad a movie it is.
Yeah. Well, it's not a rating of how good the film is, because GoldenEye scored about average, but was a better film than this, which is sitting on 14, which is still at the lower end of middling. Still, the best is View to a Kill on 007, For Your Eyes Only, and Her Majesty's Secret Service on 8. This is the lowest we've had since for a while. But yeah, it's still about average.
And it's going to be the lowest we have for a while, because next up is The World Is Not Enough.
Ooh, I like that one.
Interesting.
Or at least I remember liking it when I was a kid.
No, I've never seen it.
We're hitting the big all Scots are Russians button again.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of things. First of all, the stealth ship is based on a real prototype that Lockheed Martin made in the 80s called the Sea Shadow. And if you Google that, it looks like shit. The second thing is Götz Otto, the guy who played Stamper. His casting, he was only given 20 seconds to introduce himself. And the sentence that he said is he went, "I'm big, I'm bad, I'm bold, I'm German. 5 seconds, keep the change." And I like that a lot.
Legend.
Dudes rock. And we also have some awards that we should probably give out.
Oh, the Kronstein Rosette.
To the guy who touches the car for the third time. Thank you.
Yes, that guy. Thank you,
a
and good night.
special mention to the pilot, though. The pilot who tries to kill
true.
the guy flying the jet that he's in.
I almost want
going
to
above
give
and
up
beyond.
to it. It's quite impressive.
Can we do a joint award of those two?
Why not?
Guy who touches
We make
handle
the
for
rules.
the third time and backseat driving pilot, and the Goodnight Cross for a sort of morally good character who is underappreciated.
Hell, even morally grey, I'll take at this point.
Yeah. I don't know.
You just want to give it to Dr. Kaufman, don't you?
No, I don't want to give it to Dr. Kaufman. I have no interest in giving it to Dr. Kaufman. He's not underappreciated, evidently.
Not by us.
What about the guy who is on the radio in the opening of the first scene? MI6's first and only black employee who does come back. I think he even has a name in the next one.
Yeah, Charles Robinson, played by Colin Salmon.
Charles Robinson. I like him. He's fun.
Yeah, okay.
Sure. Goodnight Cross.
Why not? There you go. Enjoy
I
yourself.
would also have accepted guy who tells Bond how not to die during the Halo jump.
No, fuck that guy.
Nah, fuck him.
No, he should have lied to Bond.
Yeah, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put your head as close to the oxygen tank as possible.
You're going to want to hold your breath as you come up to the surface.
That's right. That's a movie.
That's a movie
that we watched.
A podcast.
Just about.
That's a movie. That's a podcast. The next podcast and the next movie. The World Is Not Enough. Gonna get some more fucking like weird Bond shit about Russians again.
Get some good ideology because the bad guy's an anarchist, baby. We should get an anarchist on.
God, is he? Fuck.
Yep, we should get an anarchist on.
Yeah, all right.
Perfect. This has been Kill James Bond. Thank you for listening. I have been Alice Caldwell Kelly. I have been joined by Abigail Thorne and Devon.
My wife.
How you doing? My wife. Thank you for listening to yet another episode of Kill James Bond. Tune in exactly 2 weeks' time for The World Is Not Enough with special guest Thought Slime. We got Mildred, baby. But if 2 weeks is simply too long for you to wait, why don't you head on over to our Patreon, which is patreon.com/KillJamesBond, all one word. And next week you can listen to our Halloween Spooktacular, which will be coming out about 3 days after Halloween. Let it not be said, we're not timely. And we are going to be talking about Van Helsing, starring Hugh Jackman. And it's a rip-roaring fun time. Genuinely, hugely recommend listening to that one. But speaking, of course, of our patrons, we would be nothing without the support of our £15 and above patrons, and those are Fawkes Winchester, Jack Holmes, Paint McCalla, George Rohack, Thomas Oberhart, Sol, Paris Carver brackets, I Never Learned to Read Obituaries, Pratek, Nikki, Caroline Tankersley, Amber de Grazia, Benno Rice, Max Gaiman Hart, Amanda Rogder, Kit Devine, Sydney Steckel, Holiday, Jay Martindale, Mothman, Jack Bushell, Kentucky Fried Commie, Field Commissar Jen, Big Titty Goth Girl, Trip, Timothy Pajorni, Tarp O, Larrykins, Hell Blood Hands, very appropriate for next week's bonus, Virat Sukat, Elizabeth Cox, Zoe Shepard, Alfredo, Jonas Schwamberger, Avery Darling, Richard Drumrail, Leal David, Wickramer Ratner, James Knapman, Robbie Morgan, Josh Simmons, Kinyu 92 Millie, and Al Irving. It's starting to get quite unwieldy to say them all, but the Kill James Bond promises I will never stop reading every single one of these, no matter how many patrons we get, because I love the people. This has been Kill James Bond. I've been Devon. Alice and Abigail have been Alice and Abigail, respectively. Our producer is Nate Bethay. The podcast art is by Matty Lubchansky, and our website is by the wonderful Tom Allen. See ya.